Who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader.
Bernie, AOC, Mandani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet. I don't think people realize we already have a lot of socialism. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
Bill Maher has once again taken aim at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and this time, the criticism is intense. Maher has never been a strong supporter of the New York Congresswoman, but her recent remarks and continued alignment with so-called woke politics have only deepened his skepticism. On multiple segments of his show, Real Time with Bill Maher, he delivers a sharp and unfiltered critique. It's bold, fiery, and impossible to ignore.
James Carville knew how to win, and he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently and had been proudly displaying at every march since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club.
Critics argue that AOC appears increasingly disconnected from everyday concerns. Once proudly embracing the woke label, she presented it as a symbol of progress and moral clarity. But as public sentiment shifts, that same label has become more controversial. Now, AOC seems to be softening her stance, attempting to distance herself from the very ideology she once championed. However, Maher isn't convinced. On his show, he calls out what he sees as inconsistency, arguing that rebranding doesn't erase past positions.
What a great strategy, never missing an opportunity to remind voters how lame and clueless and hopelessly uncool they are, especially since those are the ones who actually vote. But okay, fine. What word would you like us to use for the plainly insane excesses of the left that are not liberalism, but something completely different? Because you can't have that word liberal from us and think it should cover things like canceling Lincoln and teaching third graders they're oppressors. That's all your new thing.
This is exactly why many people resonate with Maher's style. He speaks bluntly without filtering his thoughts. He raises a critical question: if AOC is stepping away from the woke label, what happens to the ideas associated with it? Issues like gender identity debates, youth decision-making, and fairness in sports remain highly contested. Maher's point is straightforward: changing the label doesn't change the substance. The debate still exists, and people will continue to challenge it.
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid.
Maher also points to cultural debates like the use of the term Latinx, which was promoted by some progressive leaders, including Gavin Newsom and AOC. While intended to be inclusive, many within the Latino community rejected the term. Over time, even some of its strongest supporters began stepping back. For many voters, this moment highlighted a disconnect between political messaging and public sentiment, raising concerns about who these policies truly represent.
And more of them now than ever are identifying as Republican. So are Asian Americans, whose support for Democrats is down 16 points since the last election. A lot of that is because, in the name of achieving equity in schools, Democrats in deep blue cities have made it a mission to eliminate the advanced programs at which Asian kids excel. Asian parents said, okay, I wish all kids well, not a racist, but I need someone who acts like my lawyer. If you're a parent and wanted schools to reopen a lot sooner than they did after COVID shutdowns, or think maybe your kid is getting a bad education partly because it's nearly impossible to fire a lousy teacher, yeah, you're going to say, congratulations, teachers, you got yourself a good lawyer. The Democratic Party's always got your back, 100%. But I've noticed my kid is kind of an idiot.
According to Maher, this disconnect may explain why some voters, particularly within Latino and Asian communities, are shifting politically. He argues that many people feel frustrated with symbolic gestures and want practical solutions instead. Issues like education, economic stability, and public safety matter far more than political branding. When leaders appear focused on ideology rather than results, they risk losing trust, and once that trust fades, voters begin to look elsewhere.
On the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary.
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC?
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader. Okay? But this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand too. Both parties lost in the last election. Trump won, okay? And I don't know if that's going to transfer.
Maher also questions whether high-energy political figures can translate popularity into actual electoral success. He references leaders like Bernie Sanders and AOC, noting that while they draw large crowds and passionate supporters, enthusiasm alone doesn't guarantee victory. Winning elections requires broad appeal, effective messaging, and policies that resonate beyond a core base.
MAGA adjacent, and then Vance and Jr. will fight it out for that crowd.
But AOC and Bernie, and who's at the top of the ticket?
They're going to lead right now.
Who's at the top of that ticket, Kevin? Because if it's not Bernie, he's going to be vice president and then wait his turn?
No, it would be. Bernie's been running each time. I'm just saying who's in the lead right now. I don't think that's how it ends up.
But big crowds don't necessarily mean who's the right candidate. You know, when I started...
No, but it drives where the ideas are going to go. It's going to drive the money for a while.
It doesn't make them the winner.
It doesn't make them the winner. You'll have to wait till you'll get 2 years out, and then you'll start seeing these governors that start showing solutions. You also have to know, what is the issue going to be? Are we going to have a foreign policy issue? Are we going to have an economic issue? And who's been the best in leading in that? But right now, for the Democrats, who's going to lead for the next 2 years, the money is going to... AOC outraised everybody in the House.
And it's all small dump.
A similar point is made when looking at campaign funding. Take Kamala Harris, for example. Despite raising significant campaign funds and generating strong media attention, financial strength doesn't always translate into electoral success. The lesson, according to Maher, is clear: money can amplify a message, but it cannot replace authenticity or connection with voters. In the end, elections are decided by trust, clarity, and real-world impact, not just headlines and spending power.